Today we're talking about Lost Boys.
Yay!
I realized, I thought we need to try and do the impression capture before we do the introduction.
Okay.
But now we have to segue to the introduction.
Okay.
So, one of us just has to go.
Okay, I'm Melissa.
I'm Taylor.
And this is our Cinema Romance.
Okay, today we are talking about Lost Boys. Now, originally, we were going to compare Lost Boys. Okay, so Lost Boys, it was released in, I think it was 1987. It's about teenage vampires, as though you don't already know that. We were going to compare a like teen-oriented horror movie set in the 1980s to a teen-oriented horror movie. No, wait. Yes, okay. See, I'm getting confused. We were going to compare Lost Boys, which was made in the 1980s,
yes.
to a recent movie that was set in the 1980s.
Yes.
But we hadn't seen the recent movie, and then we watched it.
And we don't really want to compare them. It didn't work. It was a failed experiment.
Didn't love the recent movie, and some of the avenues for comparison I felt were closed off to us.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Be like comparing a rock and an onion.
There was a little bit of a question about whether or not we were going to try even post something this week, and we decided, okay, fine. We watched Lost Boys recently. We can just talk about Lost Boys briefly.
I have a lot to say about Lost Boys.
Okay. You should go, because here's the thing. I'm afraid this is going to turn into a sequel to our time and perspective episode, because you are 2 years younger than me.
Yes.
And without giving too much away, I think that those 2 years really made a difference in our appreciation of this movie.
Okay. Yes.
So why don't you go?
Okay, so Lost Boys, when I was tween, during those pre-teen years, it was my favorite movie. I love this movie so much. I think I saw it at least 5 times. I still have every line of this movie memorized. In the theater, I saw it about 5 times.
Because that's 5 so far has been my ceiling. Movies like Fury Road, Raiders.
No, I saw it 5 times in the theater.
Wow.
I think I had a crush on every single one of the Lost Boys, and probably Star too.
Including the brunette? Or the one with the black hair?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All of them, I thought they were really cute.
Alex Winter?
Yeah, even with his googly eyes and everything.
Sutherland's mullet?
he was cute.
A little bit about this movie.
Yes.
So at one point this was going to actually be a riff on Peter Pan. They were going to say that the reason Peter Pan had never grown up is because he was in fact a vampire. I don't know the whole history of the development of this movie, but at some point it became just teenage vampires, and they called the movie The Lost Boys, and that's kind of really all you need to know about the plot.
It's awesome. This movie is certainly what we wanted to talk, or what I was thinking we could talk about a little bit, is kind of again, time and perspective. How much has it changed since, when I first saw it, I would have said it was a perfect movie, for sure, a perfect movie. Watching it now, I still think it's good. I still think it works. And a lot of it is nostalgia, I will say. But it's a good looking movie. It's well produced, I would say. The soundtrack is still awesome.
No, I agree with all of that. It is it's directed by Joel Schumacher, who at that point hadn't done a lot of this kind of filmmaking. There was one, we looked it up because somehow I'd gotten it into my head that this was his first feature film.
Which it was not.
Absolutely
completely
false.
Wrong by 10 years.
Yeah, something like that. But there was one other mainstream movie, and I've already forgotten what it was, that St. Elmo's Fire
Oh yeah, yeah.
came. Now I don't know in
Just
what
a
order
few
they were
years
shot.
before.
It was St. Elmo's Fire, if I remember, was 85.
Okay.
But directed by Joel Schumacher, who certainly knows how to make a movie look like something.
Yeah.
And produced by Richard Donner, who's been in the business like his entire life, producing, directing.
Yeah.
So yes, and there are names. Diane Wiest is in this.
Yeah.
And something that we talked about.
Edward Herrmann. Sorry.
Joel Schumacher was known for breaking talent.
Yeah.
So in addition to Diane Wiest, like not just Alex Winter, but like Kiefer Sutherland, this was one of his very first roles.
Yeah.
Jason Patric,
Yeah.
this was one of his very first roles. Corey Haim,
Yeah.
Corey
yeah.
Feldman.
Yeah.
Like all of these people were either new or close to like.
Not to mention Jamie Gertz. Don't forget.
Jamie Gertz, yes. Like all of this talent that basically was recognized in this movie. Like he did have a way of
knowing like what was gonna look good.
Exactly. So no part of me wants to take that away from the movie.
Yeah.
Some questions I do want to ask you, as you pointed out when we watched it recently. Every time the vampires go back to the lair, they start like whooping and hollering. And it's all just like, woo! Yeah! Wah! Okay, like, in addition to that, every time any character is in, like, any amount of peril, everybody starts screaming. The vampires start screaming. The heroes start screaming. Everybody just starts, ah! Ah! Well, okay. So, question number one. How much do those, like, the characteristics of the characters in this movie, how much do those things track with your life as a teenager in California?
All right. No, people normally didn't like hoop and holler every time they got home. That's a little awkward. And also, like, I remember there's so many, like, again, there's a ton of memorable lines in this movie, like dialogue. I remember almost everything. When Jason Patric first meets Jamie Gertz's character, you know, when he asks her, she says her name, like that whole back and forth, like, yeah. Just,
oh, your parents too, ex-hippies.
Yeah. Oh, I came this close to being called Moonbeam or Moonchild or something like that, but Star's great. I like Star. Me too.
Some of that, like, there are, you drank someone's blood, are you crazy?
Yeah.
My own brother, a vampire, wait till mom finds out. Like, there is a lot that is genuinely clever.
Yeah.
Maybe even smart at times. Yeah. But it is, those moments I feel are buried under all of the leather and the hairspray and the, like, just...
Oh, but they look so cool. They do. They look cool. Well, okay, it's a little dated.
No, I mean, it's like, I would say, I remember one time you said to me, you were defending the movie Blade, and you said that it was the coolest movie to see in theaters until The Matrix.
Yes.
And I don't know how much that kind of thing actually did drive my, like, film going choices. But that's not to be discounted.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to say, I mean, before Blade, it probably was The Lost Boys.
Mm.
Or no, there would be something between Lost Boys and Blade.
Them,
Blade was like mid-90s, late, because Matrix was 99. Blade would have probably been like 96, 97.
No, Blade was a little later. Blade was 98 or 99.
Oh, okay, so right before The Matrix.
It was right before The Matrix.
Oh, okay, so then there would have been...
so it kind of...
There were plenty of cool movies, I'm sure.
Movies between.
But I do think, though, that's...
No, The Lost Boys is a very stylish, cool movie. And do you remember the tagline?
Okay, now, this is one thing that I will say about this movie. When I was growing up, and I want to say it's still somewhere, maybe, I had the Lost Boys poster Well, one, because I do think it is a nice piece of graphic design. It's black and white characters on a like blood red background. Um, so already that's striking. And then the tagline was sleep all day, party all night, never grow old, never die.
It's
Fun to be a vampire. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I did love that.
Yeah.
And I had it hanging in my room as it was framed
Yeah.
in glass. Like I mean, yeah. I loved.
Yeah. No, I remember I was such a huge fan of this movie that my sister was very good friends with somebody whose father was like head of Warner Home Video. And they managed for Christmas to get me an advance copy of the VHS, of The Lost Boys. And when I opened that, I started crying because I was so excited for Christmas. Like, that was like the biggest thing. Like, I loved this movie. Watching it now, like, I still feel a little like, you know, and I still have every line memorized. Between this and Princess Bride, like, there are several movies I feel like I can just say the entire movie.
Sure.
Like, this is certainly one of them. Princess Bride is another. But it does, I certainly see flaws now that I might have overlooked initially.
Well, let me ask you this. If, like, even... like, let's not even say that it was made today, but let's just say if you had never seen this movie somehow since 1987,
yeah,
and you sat down to watch it for the first time today, do you think you would get anything out of it?
I think I would still think Jason Patric was very handsome.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
He is a good-looking man.
Yeah, he is a good-looking man. I think it would be fun. It would be just a little slice of like, oh, that's fun. I would have still enjoyed the Kiefer Sutherland biting into that guy's bald head. You know, that is like, it's like an apple, man. The way he does that, it's just gnarly.
And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly the shot that we're talking about, because it's easily the most memorable, like, violent thing.
Yeah, I feel like it still follows a story structure that works.
Let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this. What happens to the second act of The Lost Boys?
The second act, they try to free Michael and Star from being vampires, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's right. I think that it's muddy in the movie just because there is so much focus on the fashion and the music.
Yeah, yeah.
I do think that not necessarily the story, like this is such a weird thing trying to distinguish between like cause and effect and scenes versus the overall story. Like, at no point are you confused about what the characters are doing or why they're doing it. But in terms of like sequences that build or beats, like reversals, like the different things that you expect, it's there, but those moments don't land in the same way. Yeah. I think because they are being buried under production design and like that kind of thing. It
does have some very funny parts too, though. Like, I would say, like, would you say horror comedy or just a horror movie with some funny scenes? Or do you even call it a horror? Like, it's not really scary.
Well, okay, like, that's actually probably, if you want to level like a genuine criticism at this movie, that's probably the one that's going to land the hardest. It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's not a comedy like, and this is the first thing that I thought, like Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah.
Or Love at First Bite.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah, I know, it's not a comedy.
Yeah.
But it's also, it isn't scary.
Yeah, it's not scary.
There's a couple of moments, like the scene with the, like, guys, and again, when I was growing up, I didn't know that many bikers who like to dance around the campfire. But what do I know? But like that scene with the campfire where they attack, that's one of the, again, the violence there is very real because Michael is seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Some of the attacks like any of the stuff where they're descending from the sky
Yeah.
could be scary,
Yeah.
but it's not.
It's the style is much more important. You
Yeah.
know, that it looks cool.
Yeah.
You know, I have to mention this other movie just because it came out around the same time, and has some genuinely scary moments. Is Near Dark.
Okay. We considered bringing Near Dark into this, but we decided we're a little bit under the gun,
Yeah.
and Near Dark deserves more
Yeah.
time than we're probably going to give it right now.
It does, but I will just say if you compare the two, Near Dark holds up much. It's a better film.
Because I'm almost positive Lost Boys was 97.
They came out around the same time, and I do think that's why Near Dark did not do that well, because I think Lost Boys stole its thunder. That's what
I'm just double checking if I can find them.
I saw Lost Boys 5 times in the theater. I did not see Near Dark in the theater at all.
Oh, you know what? I have never seen Near Dark projected. That is a very good point. 87 for Lost Boys.
Okay. I know I'm
And
right.
Near Dark, they have very similar runtimes. 87.
Yep. I swear it was like 2 weeks apart, if that. They were really close.
So a little bit like E.T. and The Thing.
Yeah,
Like released
yeah.
so close together, and
Yeah.
one kind of buries the
One
other.
took all
But-
the thunder.
Without getting into a whole thing,
Yeah. Without a whole thing.
this is a very different movie.
Yeah.
Young people, vampires, but whereas this is like meant to be this explosion of color and
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
and fashion and everything, like this is like if it's bringing in another genre, it's a western.
Yeah, definitely.
The violence is so real.
Yeah. It's a little gnarly sometimes.
It's
Like-
quite gnarly.
Yeah.
We will talk about this movie
we'll talk
eventually.
about Near Dark more later. But I just wanted to bring up, like, as far as movies holding up, like, Near Dark definitely holds up. I would say Lost Boys I still appreciate. It isn't the perfect movie that I thought it was when I was
I was gonna say,
a tween.
if
So,
I were exposed to Lost Boys for the first time today, I think I would at least watch the whole thing.
yeah,
Because while he's very young, has virtually no experience, like Kiefer Sutherland is doing something.
yeah.
Jason Patrick is doing something.
Corey Haim is
Yeah,
good.
for that
is,
matter.
So is Feldman and that other guy, the Frog Brothers. They're very funny.
I do think that some of the performances, the characterization would keep me interested, but I also think that I would be rolling. It's like, oh, we get another music video in the middle of the movie.
I'm sorry though, but you guys have to check out the guy in the purple pants and the saxophone.
Okay.
It's amazing.
I just looked at Tom. Oh, I just looked this up, and now I'm gonna blank on the name. But this guy, he was famous for. This movie is what got it. But I guess he played with Tina Turner
yeah.
during her like 80s peak,
Yeah.
like during that. And I guess all the stuff that he's doing in the scene in The Lost Boys, that's just how he played saxophone. Like, this was shirtless, hips thrusting. I mean, this was just how he did it. And like, if you saw Tina Turner in concert, there was this like guy on stage who was really loving that saxophone, man.
I do have to give a shout out to Jamie Gertz and her clothes in that movie though. I swear, probably 10 years later, I was like, I have to buy Star fashion. Like, I remember I had like a whole summer where I just wanted to dress like Star from the movie.
So, something that just occurred to me, because she's not, and this, we're getting into late 80s,
Yeah.
but this is not Madonna, this is
No.
not Cyndi Lauper, her hair isn't like teased to the
No.
heavens, but it's still, like, she's still making fashion choices.
Yes.
Era appropriate fashion
It's-
choices without the, like,
Yeah.
shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Edward Herman
If-
has shoulder
If
pads.
there's any kind of influence, it might be a little bit of a Stevie Nicks influence.
Okay, sure.
With a lot of the long dresses and the shawls and the like cool stuff. Like she just looks cool. Like Star.
Yes.
I definitely wanted to look exactly like her. So.
So what have we talked about here? We've talked a little. We talked about the movie.
Yes.
You
I'm
you
sorry,
got
I
more out of it
fangirled
at
a
the
little bit.
time.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but and you probably get more out of it
Yeah.
even still. But it's certainly not. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's not a movie that I.
Yeah. So, overall, like, I'd love to know what you guys think. Like, if you've never seen Lost Boys, like, I would love to hear from somebody watching it the first time what you think.
That's yeah.
I
Seriously,
would actually love
like,
to hear that.
What because I mean we both saw it at an age where it just looms large in our consciousness.
It definitely imprinted a bit.
Yeah, and like it's impossible to divorce yourself completely from that.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
So fresh perspectives. I would be very, very curious how
Yeah.
it holds up.
Let us know what you think. At the beginning, we forgot to thank people.
You know what? That's a very good point, but this is probably short enough that we can get away with it now.
Okay.
So, thank you everyone who has been watching.
Thank you for anyone that has never watched before and just came today.
Exactly.
Please
welcome
like,
welcome
subscribe.
back. Do all of that fun stuff. For now, I'm Taylor,
I'm Melissa.
and this is our Cinema Romance.
Bye.